2-1, big win for Venezuela. And again, this team, it's one of those up-and-comers. And at a certain point, you got to start saying up-and-coming. You got to say they're there, and they're almost there. And they're almost at a point where they can complicate things for many teams in this tournament. Now, am I saying they're semifinalists? No, I'm not. There's still ways to go for them. But today was a big stepping stone for them because in the outside world, if you want to, Ecuador was considered a dark horse by many. And understand where I'm coming from here, because Felix Sánchez finds himself at odds with Ecuadorian media, with Ecuadorian football fans, because he's not familiar with Ecuadorian players. And it was very evident today. And it was very evident against Argentina. It was very evident in previous matches. Results have accompanied him, but results have accompanied Venezuela as well. The thing is, Bocha Batista understands things at a grassroots level with Venezuelan football. He coached many of these players at the younger levels over the past few years. He was Jose Peckerman's assistant, albeit briefly, but he was able to understand and really come forth. And this is where understanding ends up being such a vital facet of football, ladies and gentlemen. This is where understanding concepts and understanding it's great, but understanding idiosyncrasies, footballistic idiosyncrasies, that's the term I'm coining right now. Footballistic idiosyncrasies is the key to success in order to build programs. With Felix Sanchez, you don't have that. You have a coach that came from Qatar. You have a coach that thought he had everything set up, but then really planned everything out for a horrible World Cup. Didn't have a match with Qatar. And just to give you context of what I'm trying to say here, you have a coach in Felix Sanchez who, when he was with the Qatari national team, he basically sequestered them for 6 months, didn't have them play competitive matches. They lost to a Saudi under-23 side. They lost to many. They didn't have the best preparation, horrid preparation, to be quite honest, especially being a host nation. All that being said, when he ends up coming to Ecuador, they hail him, hey, he's Spaniard. Again, and I say this a lot of times, don't get fooled by the flag, okay? Just because, but then I go and say that about Argentina, and it ends up being kind of, well, that's something you should be looking at because of the way they live and breathe and understand and kind of help explain football. Felix Sanchez doesn't do that. He's never done it. And thus the lack of understanding in terms of what he's doing at Ecuador leaves many in Ecuador puzzled. The media right now are just ripping him. And mind you, it's not me saying it. It's me getting WhatsApps and messages from Ecuador saying he doesn't understand what the players play. He doesn't understand how the players play. He doesn't even understand where his players that he himself selected are supposed to be playing. Okay? So just so you have an idea of where this is going, this is exactly what the problem. And you have Ener Valencia out of position. You have Moises Caicedo playing in an inverse manner. He's not playing where he should be playing with the national team, where he usually Preciado the same thing. Many of these players kind of, Kendry Baez doesn't seem to be fitting in. It's a lot of round holes that square pegs are trying to fill in with. That's the problem. When you have a team like Ecuador that's going through that. Now, am I saying they're not a dark horse anymore? No. I mean, it's kind of tough, but it's a team that has talent, but it's also a team that lacks any type of proper direction because the coach doesn't know what. It's like me going and trying, and maybe I'll use, a motorcycle. It's me trying to get as quickly as I can to a certain place, but I jump on a motorcycle and I don't know how powerful it is or what it's capable of doing in certain situations. And he's never been able, he tries to do certain things that can't be done. Or he doesn't do things that it could do. One or the other, he's not doing them right. And that's been the big problem with Ecuador. And they go into a tournament that historically they haven't done well. You have to go back into the 1997-99 Copa America to see them advance out of the group stage. It's a tournament that historically they've struggled in, or they didn't do too well in, compared to World Cup qualifiers. They're the inverse of Peru, if you want to look at it from that perspective. And then Valencia gets sent off, and he should have been sent off because it was absolutely reckless. I can't say it was criminal because he had no intent to try and hurt, but coming in, he came in wildly. But then Venezuela's able to reset things up. Okay, fine. They go down 1-0. All right, cool. That was innocent. And the goals basically came off of very innocent and very rudimentary play from both teams. Venezuela, of course, with the deflection, the clearance that ends up going right back into Sarmiento's foot, he ends up slotting it perfectly. That's 1-0. But then they really didn't know what else to do. There really wasn't okay, great, let's adjust. Felix Sánchez never adjusted. Let me look at this real quick, because now I just got it down in my mind. Because, I have to look at it right now because I didn't take any notes. I was just watching for the sake of watching, but there were certain things that needed to be said. Okay, let me see. Alaminda comes in at 79. Jordi Caicedo comes at 79. You take out Kendry Páez, you take out Alan Franco, and what do? Okay, great. What do? You lose functionality in the middle. You lose... Okay, Kevin Rodriguez comes in because Yeboah had to come off since Ener Valencia. John Yeboah had to come off since Ener Valencia gets sent off, so you end up, losing a bit on the attack there, which that's kind of inexplicable in of itself. You end up playing... Ener Valencia's gone, Kendry Páez and Jeremy Sarmiento. Oh, and then you okay. So what do? You don't lose a defender. But you end up kind of wanting to defend yet again, but Yeboah is the one that ends up getting sacrificed. Again, that's not understanding your personnel, because you bring in Kevin Rodriguez, great, okay, fine. And then after that, you bring in Carlos Grueso. That's fine too, but that's later on in the match. That's at the 63rd minute. And that's funny that we say that, because just moments before or moments after Carlos Grueso comes on, that's when Venezuela equalizes. So what happened? In Venezuela, and it's inexplicable. I'm not angry. I'm just kind of like, I'm confused with how Ecuador played. A minute after Grueso comes in, Venezuela score off a throw-in. Ball comes in and he's all by himself. By himself. So much so that the Ecuadorian players turn around. They're calling for an up. The referee turns and says, he starts to think about it. He's like, wait a second, what are you doing? Why are you asking me to call an offside? It was a goddamn throw-in. That's how bad they defended. If you see the replay, it was just befuddling. Of course, Venezuela come back. They're full of confidence. They're attacking. Second goal comes in. Of course, Dida Dominguez ends up just sending the ball out wide. And all of a sudden, Eduardo Bello is there to be able to knock that ball in. Now, it wasn't a fiercely headed ball by Salomon Rondon. It could have been, you have to be secure. You can't give a rebound. So you're just parrying it right into Bello, who ends up knocking it in from about 2 meters in. Even that, he's just like maybe about 2 feet in. Maybe even less than that. So, and there was no answer. Ecuador had no answer. They ran out of gas, and that was it. And you see the substitutions, and you're thinking, what the hell were they thinking? Now, Venezuela. Brilliant, man. Brilliant play for them. Yeah, okay, they went down 1-0, but they knew that they were a man up. They knew that they had to have the patience and understand how the game had to be played. The hole was going to be found somehow, some way. And when I mean the hole, it's either the actual space itself or the actual mistake itself. And in the case of the first goal, that ends up being both, the mistake and the mistake in the space. And that's where things end up really kind of thrusting forward. Great work that was done by everyone involved. Jefferson Soteldo was just brilliant over on the left. Salomon Rondon getting balls, bringing them down, protecting all comers. It was a very well played match for the most part. Brujo Martinez also was very solid in the middle. Yangel Herrera also played very solidly. So there was a there's a team effort. And when people don't understand when I say this, especially in North America, they tend to go and say, "What do you mean?" There tends to be this tactical understanding of where Bocha Batista wants to. And now, not only that, the substitutions that are made by Bocha Batista, it's not. Just brilliant as a coach, man. Eduardo Bello comes in at halftime. He replaces Cristian Cáceres. Great. John Del Cádiz comes in at halftime as well, and he replaced Darwin Machís. Guess what? Both of them scored. The game just changed. The dynamic of how they moved around, how they were pressuring, where they were pressuring from, who they were attacking, the spaces that they were finding and cutting into, how they were starting to kind of shift that defense around. Obviously, being a man down, it's great to see. Look at it once more. Look at when you if you have a chance to see the goals or even the opportunities that they're creating. You're going to see how the defenses start to move around and who's coming back and who's not moving in and who's not keeping tabs on things and all these types of things that are kind of important when the grand scheme of things, in the overall scheme of things, I should say, that ends up being, it's just a case of tapping into potential compared to the other side who doesn't have that possibility. Felix Sanchez doesn't know what it is to tap into potential because the potential is there. I mean, mind you, most of these players came from Independiente del Valle, and I don't want to get into that rabbit hole. But what's very important, that Ecuador really doesn't understand, or really doesn't understand that part. Venezuela, they got it, man, because the youth system is improving. And you see that transition. You see the younger players shifting in and coming in and really, not a leadership role, maybe in some cases, but in some cases it's a more contributor role. And that's very important. But Sanchez, I mean, on the other end, Ecuador, Felix Sanchez has no clue. He has no clue. He has no clue what he has. And he has no clue how to use it. That's a big problem. But Venezuela, huge win, man. Huge win. Hats off to Bocho Batista. He's the one that kind of changed things around. He ends up really tightening the screws where he needed to. And to me, that's vital, extremely vital for a team like Venezuela, who maybe they could be the surprise team. Maybe they could be. I hope they are. Because it shows that maybe from the bottom, because I'm looking at it from the bottom up perspective. And I don't mean to say that Venezuela's in the bottom, although the bottom, they are in the bottom in terms of the CONMEBOL table, of the World Cup qualifying table. But if that means that that's the worst you can get, god damn, that's not bad. But then you want to see it like this, not like this, which happened in CONCACAF. CONCACAF happened like this. CONMEBOL, at least with Venezuela's example, at least, Bolivia maybe not the best example there. You want to see this. You want to see that the upper end or the lower end go up, not the higher end go down. Again, enough with my diatribe, guys. It's been good. Let's see what you think. Tell me what you think, man. Tell me in the comments, okay? Talk to you guys soon. Ciao.